When most people think of millionaires, they think of the celebrities, they think of the tech moguls. But truth be told, over 20 million people in the United States are millionaires and multimillionaires that are just regular people like you and I. Now, of course, when it comes to building wealth and when it comes to building millions of dollars of wealth, that's what we're going to be looking at today. 9 steps to become a millionaire in 5 years or less. It doesn't just come from the regular Joe working the 9 to 5. It really does take some discipline, including multiple income streams, looking at your salary, looking at your dividends, your investment, rental property, business investments. There's a lot of different ways to do this, starting with number one, and it is creating a wealth plan. Now, this step is super easy to do. When you have a wealth plan, it is vital to ensure your financial freedom, which of course the debt-free journey is what we're looking for here. Really looks at your liabilities, looks at your assets, looks at your net worth, and you have a plan that is going to outline exactly what you want to do. Now, this of course is going to include your investments, where you're investing your money, what the investments look like. This is going to give you the ability to compound everything that you have. It's going to look at insurance, which of course is going to protect your assets. It's going to include your taxes. Now, anytime that you can pay less taxes, mean that it is giving you the ability and the monetary value really to invest your money. Now, education is of course a big piece when it comes to the continuing education and the financial education, and also planning for retirement, which is huge. That is really the basis of getting a plan together, creating the wealth building plan, knowing exactly what you're going to do kind of in this step-by-step fashion, and making sure that you adjust where needed. Number two, we look at taking advantage of employer contributions. Now, of course, when it comes to the employer contribution or the employer match, it is a guaranteed return. When you're putting, let's say, 5% in and your employer is putting in 5%, that means that you are getting a 100% return off of your money. Now, when you start looking at the largest companies in the United States, most of them match around 50 cents on a dollar, and the average contribution that we see is 6% that they match, which some of them are higher, some of them are a little bit lower. But again, when you think of making $50,000 a year and your contribution of $450 in a retirement account every month, with the contribution, you'll have $1 million around 40 years. If the employer is matching that 6% contributions, they will add another $250 a month. And this is where it kind of gets interesting, because now you're at $1 million in 34 years instead of 40 years, which means through the compounding and the employer contribution, you just cut 6 years off of essentially your $1 million plan to where you're making the money. Now, number three, you can always ask for a raise. When you look at the job market, when you look at wages in general, they have severely lagged pretty much everything. That's the reason why a general rule is if you've been at your company for about 3 years, with your experience, you could go to another company, you could go to a competitor and probably make a lot more money. Now, it's sad to think that a lot of US companies really have lagged behind so far in the wages, with consumer price index, prices going up astronomically, even the prices of housing, rent, everything else that has been increasing with inflation. The wages have not stayed up with it and they are still lagging behind. Make sure you're doing your research and approach your boss, making sure you know exactly how you're going to plead your case, understanding how much people in the industry makes, do your research, and really make an educated argument on why you need a raise. Number four, we get into saving a significant portion of your earnings. Now, when you look at big picture, 100% of what you do earn, how much of that are you able to take with you and how much of that can you actually keep? Really looking at building wealth in a short amount of time, it is about keeping a significant portion of your income, trimming down your budget, living below your means, making sure that you're doing that. And of course, excluding extra debt, not buying luxury items, only staying to the bare minimums, even if it is just a little bit of time. Now, of course, when you have a strict savings plan, it doesn't mean that there can't be room in there for the kind of out of the ordinary things. If you like going to the movies, if you like going out to eat, if you like getting Starbucks, make sure you build things in there or you're never going to follow your earnings plan or your budgeting plan. And of course, making a very comfortable living on a small portion of your income by tracking your expenses. We've talked about this before when it comes to budgeting, because let's say, for instance, you make $100,000 a year, you're going to put away 25% of that, meaning $75,000 is what you have left after that. You pay your taxes. The remaining is roughly $55,000, which is enough to live in a majority of the United States if you're reducing the housing expenses and not carrying a very heavy debt. It is really enough to survive as an individual. When we look at number five, we look at developing multiple income streams. Now, when it comes to multiple income streams, just like we're doing right here on YouTube, and if you like the content that I'm putting out, please subscribe to the channel. But this is something that is going to supplement your full-time job. it is going to give you and really open the gateway for a couple different things, especially becoming a millionaire in 5 years or less. Now, when you start a side hustle, this could be a part-time job. This could be something you're doing at home. It could be content creation. There are so many things that you can do online, even to bring additional revenue. And that additional revenue is really going to serve as a multi-purpose tool, really, to not only be able to repay your debt and eliminate your debt, but once the debt is eliminated, that is going to give you the ability, and that is going to be the money that you can actually invest into the market. Because of course, keep in mind that income isn't really the fun money that you're earning. It is the money that you need to grow. It is the money that needs to be invested. And it is the money that is going to turn into new money with time. Now, getting into number 6, and one of my biggest ones, is eliminating debt. Debt is the number one biggest deterrent to becoming a millionaire, period. When you look at the amount of money you earn in relationship to how much money is going out of the door, when you start looking at, younger people looking at the student loan debt, you start putting on mortgages, you start adding in credit card debt, it is detrimental, because every dollar that you're paying for debt, especially when it is debt that you've had years ago, is a dollar that you cannot invest at all. Now, focus on paying down the debt. Now, we talk about really two methodologies. Number one is the debt snowball method, which means listing all your debts from the lowest balance to the highest balance, systematically just going down the list and knocking them off. And the second one is the debt avalanche method, which actually lists them from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate, doing the exact same systematically, kind of knocking them out. But of course, when it comes to the psychological aspect, the debt snowball makes a lot more sense. When it comes to the mathematical aspect, the debt avalanche makes a lot more sense. And of course, with the elimination of debt, like I said earlier, you have a lot more money to invest. And when you start investing, number 7 is choosing your smart investing. That is right. When you start looking at investing, it doesn't have to be super complex. It can be very, very simple. When you look at a 3 ETF portfolio, like some of the investing videos that I've put out there, it is the most effective. When you start looking at almost 90% of financial advisors cannot beat the index, which is kind of crazy. Now, most self-made millionaires take risk in the career, but they have very, very conservative investments, which is the reason why personally, I only invest in ETFs, exchange traded funds, and that is it. When you start looking at the VOO or the S&P 500, even Warren Buffett does carry a significant amount of weight in there. He said that is what everybody needs to invest in, and everybody just put money into that S&P 500. They would retire with a lot of money, honestly, millions of dollars, if they were making regular contributions through their working years into the S&P 500. Index funds, again, are not only a good investment strategy that are well diverse, but it is also very, very affordable. When you look at the cost of these index funds, they are really cheap. And of course, it really resists the temptation to go into other places and financial products that you don't understand or you don't know, such as REITs. You have your cryptocurrency, you have your real estate, you have a lot of different things. If you don't know exactly what you're doing in the market, there's chances are you could lose a lot of money. This is the reason why I iterate all the time. If you don't know what you're investing in, you absolutely should not be investing in it at all. And when we get into number 8, it is improving your skills. When you see not only a significant return from investment, that also comes to your career, that comes to your industry, that comes to you yourself. The more time and effort that you're putting into yourself to improve your skills, the better you're at your job, the more I guarantee you're going to earn. And if not, it is going to be moving on to another job. This could also be looking at going to school, getting a degree, getting an advanced degree, moving into another position. And of course, when you start looking at some of the programs, especially between the government programs, they even have a lot of state-funded programs. There's a lot of different ways that you can finance the education. And of course, you also have to think about the end game. When you start improving your skills, when you start going for these advanced degrees, what is the estimated amount that you're going to be making with this new degree? And what is the cost? So again, when you really break this out, so if you're going to get a degree and let's say it's costing $50,000, the job that I'm going to get is going to be paying me, $30,000 more. Okay, so my cost, my really return is less than 2 years. By the way, that I can pay for that, essentially my education with the earning potential that I can have for that skill or degree that I did earn. And the last one, number 9, resist the urge to spend cash. Now, living below your means is really essential if you want to become a millionaire in 5 years or less. Beside making only the realistic budget, you have to control the impulse expenses. Now, we have said this before and we will say it again. when it comes to impulse spending. It is estimated about $3,000 a year that people are putting into these impulse spendings. So looking at the favorite online shopping, looking at the checkouts, when it goes to the grocery store, I always make a list. I make sure that I have everything. Make sure that you look and really understand alternatives before you purchase something, and really put into some time and effort to research what you're buying. And of course, we have the cool down period. So when you look at something and you do want to purchase it, give it a 3-day cool down period before you can kind of see if it is something that you really want. And you know what? If it is something that you really do want, after that 3-day period, maybe it is time to look to see if you can get the product cheaper. Where can you get some savings on it? And ultimately, if you do buy it, you know you've done the research and you know all of the logic behind it. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. 9 steps to become a millionaire in 5 years or less. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.